Hey guys, it's time to go diving. Matt Myers here with Flippers Diving in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm going to take you on a lobster hunt today to show you guys how to catch the big ones. So a week or so ago, we were offshore St. Augustine, about 45 miles or so offshore, doing some dives in about the 120 to 130 foot range, a couple of them a little bit deeper, and picking up some monster lobsters like you're seeing here. So I want to take you along for the dive and kind of show you how it went and maybe throw a couple pointers out there. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you a trick, a way to catch big lobsters using lobster snares. So hang out because I want to show you some tricks on what you can do to your lobster snares to make them more effective. So here we are, my dive buddies hovering above me. We're at right at 130 feet or a little bit below that, and I'm pounding away on the lionfish. And I kind of want you to take a look to my left and see if you notice anything. Lobsters are easy to just swim by and not know that they're there because they like to tuck under really short, low ledges. They like tight little nooks and crannies. So if you don't slow down and look and even stick your light under those ledges, you won't see them. But check this out. There's actually 4 of them under this ledge. There they are. All you're seeing is their antennas, right? Just these little sticks sticking out. So as I'm swimming along, that's usually what I'm looking for, is do I see these little antennas sticking out from under ledges, and then sometimes I'll go and put my flashlight on it. So the key to using a snare is to just be patient and slow. The lobsters aren't going anywhere unless you startle them away. And the other technique I'm using here is there's 4 lobsters under that ledge. The biggest one was in the middle. You don't want to go for the middle one. And you notice here I went for the outside, caught him, but man, it's full of eggs. So no go on that. You can't take lobster for the eggs, gotta let him go. And hopefully you haven't harmed him at all. So he's back in the hole. And now I'm gonna move to the left and work my way to the left through these 4 lobsters and try to grab the next one. And that's a beast. That lobster weighed in just over 7 pounds. Now watch where my finger is right there. You kind of maybe just saw my finger got stuck. You got to be really careful. Those lobsters, if you put your finger in their mouth, they will bite and it will not be good. So a good thing I was able to get my finger out of there quickly. So I'm a big fan, lobster bag wise, just a big wire rim bag, big mesh bag. You can do the lobster hotels, but for the lobsters that we're getting up here in Jacksonville and St. Augustine, they're just too small. You can't fit them in the hole. For some of our smaller ones, I'll tuck them into my lionfish locker, but for these big guys, unless you want to rip all their legs off or something, you're shoving them in the bag. Should add, you do need to carry a measuring device, and actually have my measuring device zip tied inside the bottom of the bag, so you might see it. Pretty obvious that this one is big enough, but in case you needed to check, you definitely need to have that with you. And man, what a great sight. We had great visibility this day. Water temperature on the bottom was like almost 80 degrees. Very, very comfortable. Wearing a 3mm wetsuit. And I'm just diving steel 100s with a pony. So really, really comfortable dive. Having a good time getting this guy in the bag. They're strong. Trying to keep him intact. I don't want to break his legs or antennas or anything. So just gently working them into that bag. The only challenge using a bag like this, other than getting them in there, is that once you got one lobster in the bag, you got to be careful, because when you open that bag again for the next lobster, that guy might have turned around and being ready to scoot right out of the bag. So just need to be a little cautious, but usually not an issue. So here we go. We got 2 other lobsters still in the hole hanging out. This is a really nice angle. See what they're doing. That ledge does not look like anything. It just looks like a rock sitting in the sand, but it actually goes way, way back. And you'll see I lost that one there. I was a little too quick with the snare, and it's boom, all the way back in. And then kind of same thing with this one. It backs into the ledge and I lose it. Keep in mind, we're at 130 feet, and I'm not afraid to share that I am a narcosis pussy. Beyond 100 feet, I am usually all fuzzy in the head, and that nitrogen narcosis is doing its trick on me. So I'm not always as tactful as I should be at this depth. So I kind of gave up. I'm like, whatever, they're all the way back there. I can't see anything. Let's move on. But I'll thank my dive buddy for saying, no. Let's take another look real quick. And sure enough, they're back there, right? Sometimes though, if you scare them back, just move on. Keep moving on down the reef and come back 5 or 10 minutes later. And a lot of times they'll have walked their way back up to the edge once they're not scared anymore. So I'm kind of teasing or tickling this one from behind. And then I get my snare over the antenna and he's all over the place, and I'm crawling on top of my dive buddy to try to get the lobster under control. And I always been fearful. I don't want to break stuff on the lot. I don't want to break their antennas or legs. I'm trying to be gentle, but at the same time, get a hold of these things. I don't remember what happened. I don't know if he got off or if that one had eggs. But here's a nice big one. Man, look at that. That thing is huge. I'm like, I'll go for the tail. And I'm like, can't get to the tail real good. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to grab this thing. And watch what happens. All that work. You're at 130 feet. You don't have a lot of time. And boop, got eggs. So if you've never seen eggs, take a close look here. They kind of look like algae growing on the bottom of the tail. It's like real soft. It looks like a grass or a sponge or something. And they're orangish or reddish color. Those are eggs, like thousands and thousands of little teeny weeny eggs. And again, if they got eggs, you can't take them. You need to leave them alone, let them go back and do their thing. And that's kind of the downside of lobstering at the beginning of lobster season. Most of the females are gonna have eggs on them. This has been a really good year. We're only a couple weeks, first month into the season, and every time we've been out, we're probably catching 75% of what we catch we're able to keep because they don't have their eggs. Whereas last year, same time, we were having to throw back 70 to 80% of them because they were all eggers. So kind of cool. Hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully it means the population is growing and they're getting their eggs off and replenishing the quantities out there. So on these dives, I'm focused lobster, and you guys know me by now, hopefully, lionfish. And there's tons of lionfish on this dive. I mean, more than you could ever shoot in the amount of time that we have on bottom. So you're really just like trying to be as efficient as possible, looking for lobsters, picking off lionfish here and there, filling the bag, and continuing to move on. Our dive time on this dive was right about 45 minutes total run time. So including on bottom, I think we're on bottom about 25 minutes or so. And I'm pretty sure my dive buddy went up a little bit before I did. And it's just really pretty, like all the bait fish, and the visibility was fantastic this day. Obviously we're loading up on everything, lionfish. Got the mangrove snapper on one of the other dives. This site, I would call this a pothole site. So there's no like big structure or big ledges or whatever. So when you're driving over it, you're really not seeing a whole lot on the bottom finder other than you're marking a lot of fish. And like that first spot where we're grabbing that one lobster, it's just a little tiny hole, right? There wasn't a whole lot there. So these spots are hard to find. You just gotta put in the time, and you gotta drive around a lot in the boat and just watch the bottom finder. And then when you see a little splash of fish, sometimes it's a matter of just dropping a diver and let them go down and see, is there anything here? And if there isn't, delete the mark. If there is, well, yep, mark it, document it so you know where to come next time. So one thing you might notice me doing is I'm just loading my spear with one hand. It just makes me faster. I'm not having to use two hands, and obviously my left hand is just full of everything else, right? Lionfish locker, snare, spear gun. I'm dragging my lobster bag. I guess I love lobster season, but the one thing about lobster season is I feel like a yard sale down there. Got so much stuff, but I just can't leave it all on the boat, you know? That big fish swims by, if I run into that lobster, if there's lots of lionfish, I want to make sure to maximize the dive, so carrying it all with me. There's our anchor line. We're using a grapple hook this day. I shouldn't say anchor line, those are buoy line. We don't actually anchor while we're out on any of these sites. We generally use a much smaller buoy, just with a little small lead weight, just to mark the spot. And then that boat is up top, just circling our bubbles, circling the drop spot, and watching where we're at in comparison to where we got dropped. And that way it leaves the boat free. One, I don't have to worry about going back to an anchor line, which is really nice. And two, if a diver pops up, that boat is mobile. It can move around, pick them up, help them. A lot of times, right before we're ready to end the dive and head up, I'll take all of that crap that I'm carrying there, all my fish and lobster and all this stuff, I'll clip it all together, put a lift bag on it, and shoot it up. That way I don't have to deal with it. And if there's sharks or something, I'm not worried about them following me up on my ascent. We did really well on lionfish this day. We got, just me personally, about 85 pounds. One of the other dive buddies got about 40 pounds. My dive buddy was primarily shooting video. But man, you know, well over 100 pounds, 150 pounds of lionfish on this trip. And a bunch of lobsters. I want to say we ended up with about 8 lobsters total amongst the boat. You know, the limit, I believe it's 12 lobsters per person. Nobody limits out up here. We just don't have that volume of lobsters. By the way, watch that. See that lobster right underneath me? You can see the little antennas. You'll hear my dive buddy yelling at me like, hey, you're missing a lobster. I'm like, I got it. He's not going anywhere, right? I'm going to swim around real quick and pick off a handful of lionfish. I'm kind of, in my brain, I'm thinking tick-tock, tick-tock. You know, we're deep. We're still at 130 feet. I don't have a lot of time left. Gas is running low. Let's go ahead and pick off a couple fish, then we'll swing back, grab the lobster. We're going to be running out of time here pretty soon and have to start ascending. So another reason I can't get everything on this dive. I would love to stay down there for an hour and clean out all these lionfish. So one thing you'll notice here is I don't generally put my snare behind the lobsters. I usually go for the antenna. I don't know if that's super common down in the Keys or when you're dealing with smaller lobsters, but the big lobsters, those antennas are big and chunky, especially when you get right up near the head. And that's what you need to do if you're going to do anything with the antenna, even if you're just reaching in the hole to grab it, like I will here in a second. You got to be cautious not to break them off. So you really want your hand right up against the head of the lobster, and same thing with the snare. So I'm kind of working that lobster, and I don't want to just yank and rip because I may break off whatever it is I'm holding to. So I'm kind of positioning them, right? There we go. No eggs. That's a keeper. Now, how do we do that? Hey guys, Matt here with Flippers Diving. So you may have just been wondering, how were you catching those lobsters without sticking the snare behind the actual lobster? And let me show you what's going on. So this is what we call the mean green lobster snare. It's pretty much the best snare I've ever found. They're really popular. You can buy them all over Florida. We sell them here at our shop. When you get them brand new, take a look at the end. You've got that little plastic piece. And the problem is that when you go to snare a lobster and you close it down, you still have a big loop at the end. And so to be able to snare those lobsters up around their antenna, you want to take your lobster snare and get that little piece and cut it down really, really small. Okay, what it means when you do that, now when I go to pull my loop, I can close this thing almost completely around the top of that antenna. So I put this forward on the bug, sliding it down over the antenna, and right when I get close to the head, I actually push it further. I push it into the head of the lobster, and at the same time I'm pulling and then yanking that lobster out of the hole. So really cool little trick modification you can do to your lobster snare to make you more effective. Even if you're doing it from the tail, doesn't matter. You don't need that big, huge plastic piece on there. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit about snares, and by the way, we kind of want to snare you to subscribe to our channel. So click the subscribe button. Back to the video. And there it is. Now you know the trick, especially for these big ones. Go for that antenna. And here's where you gotta be careful. Who knows where that lobster is in the bag, but I don't want to lose my first one, which is bigger than this guy. I'm trying to get both of them in the bag. So be cautious. If you got your dive buddy with you, sometimes it's better to have one person opening and closing the bag and the other person helping to shove it in. I think lobstering is a really great kind of a team activity. So if you can, work together as a team, especially to carry all this equipment. One person carries a bag, somebody carries a snare. Maybe you guys like using a tickle stick and a net. I'm not really great with a tickle stick, so I'm a snare guy. That, and on my lionfish locker, I've got a way to hold my snare. So we're here at 128. We've only been down 17 minutes, believe it or not, but tick tock, we got some deco. And man, the lionfish were big. So all the stuff you're seeing in this video, Koa spear guns, the pole spears, the snares, the lionfish lockers, the commercial bag lionfish lockers, all this stuff, we sell it at flippersdiving.com, or if you're coming through Jacksonville, hit me up. We'd love to have you stop by the shop. You can go to flippersdiving.com. I'll put a link here in the description so you guys can see exactly where you need to go to get the gear that you're gonna need to get out there and harvest these delicious creatures. If you guys have any questions, by the way, about what you're seeing, what we're doing, put them in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. You can always hit me up directly, but would love to share the knowledge and let other people learn from it as well. So we had a really, really solid day out here with the group. Shout out to Scott and the Husky Dusky. That's the boat we're on. Our buddy Scott runs a great vessel there. And man, we got a big old fish box, and we managed to fill that thing pretty much every trip we go out, so pretty cool. Look at the size of these guys. So question, how do you identify a male versus a female lobster without the eggs? Okay, there's a male and there's a female there. Put in the comments which one is which and why. Thanks for watching, guys.
Hey Matt, looks like you got a friend there.